Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. And England have beaten Pakistan by 5 wickets and clinched the T20 World Cup. And overall, they are deserved winners of this competition. I think even the one loss they did suffer was a tad unlucky against Ireland. Yes, Ireland had played well or better than England in the game until that point, but I do think with 53 off 33 to get with Moynihan and Liam Livingstone batting at that point in time, they would have probably got the job done. So even that loss was a tad unlucky. And from where they were in the group stage, they've shown some great character to get to the finals and win the overall competition. I think the New Zealand game was a game where things did start going on the upward trend for them. I thought Joss Butler getting in the runs, there had been a bit of a lull after he had taken up the captaincy, but the innings against New Zealand started some decent form for him. And also in the Sri Lanka game, yes, it was a tricky chase at the end, but I thought with him and Alex Hales getting 70 in the power play and then going on to thrash India in the next game, I think their batting, especially, or rather the openers, did look much more secure than they looked before. And in that New Zealand game, after the Glenn Phillips wicket, they closed things out very well with the ball. And in the Sri Lanka game, Ben Stokes showed character to get his team over the line in a game where they did collapse after that 70-run power play. And against India, they absolutely thrashed them. And in this game, Ben Stokes once again getting them kind of over the line in a pressure situation. And regardless of form, I think with this win, you can kind of... It is quite apparent that he is the best pressure player in the world in all three formats of the game. And once again, a vital 50-odd to get England over the line. And they went from needing 61 off 60 to needing 49 off 36. And slowly Pakistan were influencing some scoreboard pressure. But with Ben Stokes still there, you still thought England were in position to win the game, and they did so in the end. And for Pakistan, they should kind of go with their head held high. I think they did everything they could to win this game. I look back to the India-South Africa game in Perth, where you'd think after the 10th over, sloppiness from India did cost them that game. But in this case, you'd think for Pakistan, something that cost them the game in the end wasn't in their control. I mean, Shaheen walking off and then coming back on just to bowl one ball, that wasn't in their control, and you'd think they'd feel very hard done by that. His career is more important than this final, as much as he would have wanted to win the game for his country. And I think that it was the right decision for him to go off after bowling that one ball. I was surprised that he even went back on and he was kind of trying to jog the way that he did when they showed him near the kind of the boundary rope area, I think. But I wasn't surprised that it went the way it did with the ball that he bowled, and his career is more important than winning a trophy, as much as he would have wanted to do so. And yeah, I mean, in the end, you'd think, yes, with Ben Stokes at the crease, England still had a chance, but the 5 balls that Iftikhar Ahmed bowled in place of Shaheen, that pretty much did tip the scales in favour of England. Pakistan did a great job to influence scoreboard pressure after that 61 of 60 kind of equation. And yeah, they should feel very proud of what they've done in this tournament. I thought, look, with the bat, we do know that they haven't been the strongest batting side. And once again today, I mean, England would have been happy chasing 138, but Pakistan did everything they could to make it as difficult a chase as possible. And you'd think without Shaheen going off, they would have had a great chance to win the game. I mean, the thing that I've been impressed with Shaheen in the last few games that I talked about after the India game, that the thing that I think was preventing this Pakistan attack to be even better than it has been was that the bowler they'd kind of rely on to strike fear into the opposition and run through them at the start. I think that something that he had to develop was a better stock performance. I talked about Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Arshdeep Singh and maybe a Deepak Chahar as well, where they don't have to be extraordinary on their day to do what they do, whereas Shaheen does. And despite the fact that in the last few games he hasn't been running through the opposition in the power play, I think holistically he has improved, and that will do a lot of good for this Pakistan side. And therefore he would have done a lot better at the death than he has done throughout his career so far. So I think with the momentum that he was gaining with his much better performances at the death, I think Pakistan would have fancied their chances with him bowling to Ben Stokes at the end. But it is what it is, and I thought that his injury was something which tipped the game in England's favour quite a bit. But Pakistan should feel very proud of their bowling effort and the fact that yes, they needed a bit of luck to reach the finals, but they took it. They thrashed New Zealand, and they made a very good fist of today's game. So how this game went, England won the toss and chose to field first. Now, I thought, as in my preview, I did think the side that chose to field first would have a huge advantage in the game, considering the conditions at the MCG. There wasn't quite as much movement as there was in the India-Pakistan game, especially in the first innings, but there was some, and there was something that you could take advantage of. And I think in the last few games, I have kind of said things, and you'd say things have, in terms of the outcome, they've worked out the opposite. And in those games, I'd say, look, I mean, there's a desired roadmap for sides to go on and win games. I think in both semi-finals, New Zealand against Pakistan, India against England, I thought New Zealand would bowl a lot better to defend the 150 that they put on the board, which was quite a good score. And for India, I thought they would go hard from the start. I didn't think that for the first 13 overs, they would only score 80 runs on the board, which had already handed England the game. So I think there are desired roadmaps for the teams to win games, and there were obviously desired roadmaps for the losing sides to go and win the game. And with them veering away from that, then it became very hard for those two teams. And that's why I wouldn't really say I got those predictions wrong, despite the fact that the result went differently to what I thought it would. I do think that those sides didn't adhere to their desired plans on the day, or desired roadmaps on the day. And on this Pakistan game, Pakistan got a decent start, 29 without loss in the first 25 balls of the innings. However, Mohammad Rizwan was dismissed on the second ball of the fourth over. And I thought the wicket of Mohammad Haris was crucial. I think with the impetus that he's given in the last three games, especially against South Africa and Bangladesh especially, I thought with him scoring 8 of 12, they would have wanted him to express himself to make up for a steady start that the openers would offer. And with him being dismissed for that to 8 of 12, taking up 2 overs, I think it didn't go in Pakistan's favour at all. And you could say a platform was set by the time Babar Azam was dismissed in the first ball of the 12th over. But I did think something which would go against this Pakistan side is their ability to clear boundaries at the MCG. You saw Hardik Pandya against Pakistan in the India-Pakistan game, his ability to clear these big boundaries. And you thought that in this Pakistan side, you didn't really see a player that could do that. And I think the key in this game was going to be Shadab Khan. Yes, Shan Masood was kind of upping the ante towards the end of his innings, 38 of 28 for him. And at the end, those two were going to be the only kind of death overs impetus to get that score up to 150, 160. And the moment Shadab Khan was dismissed, he was going well, 20 off 13 he was before he got dismissed. The moment he did get dismissed, I thought that was going to curtail Pakistan massively, and it did in the end, 137 for 8. With their attack, they probably still would have half fancied their chances, but they knew that it wasn't going to be as much of a cushion as defending a 150, 160. And on this Pakistan side, I think something huge on this at this MCG venue, which you saw against India and you saw here as well, they don't have this batting all-rounder at 6 who kind of back to clear those boundaries. Shadab Khan has been very good in this tournament with bat and ball, and Mohammad Nawaz was good against kind of New Zealand and Bangladesh in that tri-series. But I think when comparing especially Mohammad Nawaz at 6 to a batting all-rounder, kind of a Hardik Pandya, Ravindra Jadeja, you'd get a lot less from him than you would do from a batting all-rounder, and you wouldn't really expect him to be able to clear these boundaries at the MCG. So I think that is something they will have to find. There are options like Shoaib Malik, who I think they should play in the 2023 ODI World Cup in India, and there's also a Fahim Ashraf as well. So I think those two so far are the closest options they would have for a kind of a competent batting all-rounder at this point in time for them. But yeah, I thought without that option today, it was going to be quite difficult for them to clear these boundaries. On the England bowling, Ben Stokes 1 for 32 and 4, Chris Wilkes 9 for 26 and 3. But I thought the players who did have quite a bit of an impact were especially Adil Rashid once again was excellent today with 1 maiden as well. Chris Jordan had a very good game today, 2 for 27 and 4 overs, and Sam Curran's 3 for 12 and 4, and he's had a great tournament. So I thought England would have taken chasing 138 despite the fact that they would know in these conditions, and with a fragile middle order against the Pakistan attack, anything could still happen. And on the England innings, a wicket on the first over, Alex Hill was dismissed, a ball that kind of went in towards the leg stump from Shaheen Afridi. A huge wicket, especially after what these two did in the previous game. I didn't think this would be the same game, and it turned out to be a very different game as expected. But still, one of these openers being dismissed early was huge for Pakistan to kind of get themselves give themselves the upper hand in this innings. And I thought the Pakistan bowlers were actually a bit unlucky at the start. Yes, from Naseem Shah, a lot of his deliveries beat the outside edge, and I think a few deliveries here and there did kind of give the opportunity for runs to be scored, and that is what gave England that start that in terms of run rate they would have wanted. But I still thought he was quite unlucky in this game, and in the end, 9 for 30 and 4, despite the fact that at the start he was quite unlucky, I thought was a terrific effort. And for a while, it was kind of going in England's favour, the small partnership between Phil Salt and Jos Buttler. And when both those players were dismissed within the space of 2 overs, I thought that did put Pakistan in quite the ascendancy. I still didn't think they would win the game as kind of as a sure shot, because there was Ben Stokes still at the crease, and we know how he plays under pressure like he did today. But I still thought with an inexperienced Harry Brook there as well, they did have a good chance to open and end up at least. There was a decent partnership between Ben Stokes and Harry Brook. I thought that did give England a lot more hope to win the game. And Harry Brook was dismissed for 20 off 23, and he was playing and missing a bit before his dismissal. And he is inexperienced. I actually think he will be a future star. He has been signed for the Joburg Super Kings, and hopefully with the franchise affiliation to CSK, who knows, maybe we will see him in CSK, and I won't mind if we do, because in my view he will be a future star for England. And from this point in time, I thought Pakistan, from the 10th over onwards, put some great scoreboard pressure on England. From 61 off 60, it went to 49 off 36, then 38 off 26. And you thought, as I said, Shaheen Afridi being injured when taking the Harry Brook catch did kind of change things a lot. With this newer Shaheen Afridi that we've seen, where holistically he is better than what he was before. Had he bowled the death, Pakistan would have been able to fancy their chances more than they would have done before. And you'd think probably may have gone or increased kind of Pakistan's chances of winning the game from the pressure that they induced. And yeah, I thought that injury was incredibly unlucky for Pakistan. The Iftikhar Ahmed over, where I think in 5 balls he gave 13 runs, and that put the game in Pakistan's favour a lot. Mohammad Wasim, unfortunately, did show his inexperience. Didn't get it right towards the end. 1 for 38 in his 4. But I think this Pakistan attack has a lot going for them. By far the best bowling attack in this competition, and they should be very kind of happy with what they've done this tournament, especially on a bowling front. And they effectively haven't had a bad game. And yeah, that's England winning this World Cup. Did I think they were best placed to win it? No, as I've said quite a few times. I thought this batting, once again, if it wasn't for Ben Stokes, it did look a bit suspect. But I think that's why you have players like Ben Stokes there to turn up when it matters, and he did exactly that. So England with an ODI World Cup and a T20 World Cup in the last 3 years, it's a ridiculous achievement. And I think that after being knocked out in 2015 against Bangladesh, it really has been a great rise for them. And I think that also in 2019, I thought they were outright the best ODI side in the world. They're not the best white ball side in the world now, you'd think. But I thought with what they did in this competition, and with Ben Stokes turning up when it did matter, they did deserve to win this tournament. And I think with Pakistan, something which they would think of doing is, I thought, look, yes, their openers have put them on slightly on the map, you could say. I think, yes, they have, especially when chasing that 150 kind of score, which is their comfort zone. They have excelled quite a bit. They've got 8 over 100 plus stands between them, which is a brilliant achievement. I think it's the most out of any opening pair in T20Is. However, I think Pakistan should be brave and move on from them. You saw today where I think there's at times already in a weak batting side, you need that impetus, and I think especially today you saw the case where Pakistan did not have much power with the bat to influence the game, and that's why in my view I have an 11 for Pakistan, and that is, first of all, the captain. Shaheen Afridi should be the captain and Shadab Khan should be the vice captain. We've seen Shaheen Afridi captain for Lahore Qalandars, Shadab Khan I think for Islamabad United, and with what they've shown so far, I think they'd be quite kind of good in leading the side. With the openers, I think Shan Masood is a very underrated part of the side. He's a quality player, and I think he is batting out of position at number 4. With him opening along with Fakhar Zaman, I think it will kind of yield great rewards for this T20 side. Mohammad Haris at number 3, I think, has rejuvenated the side so far, and he will continue to do so. And another player who hasn't been in their setup for a while. Now, I think his inclusion may be scoffed at for kind of an obvious reason, and that is his fitness. But if you compare him and Mohammad Haris's stats, their stats are pretty much the same, and Azam Khan does have more experience. I personally think that, yes, his fitness needs to be improved drastically, but in terms of the impact that he can offer, that top 4 would do great things for this Pakistan T20 side. Shadab Khan at number 5, I think, will be a very good option. And for now, okay, look, they could put Fahim Ashraf at 6, considering they do have that kind of floating option, as I will get to. They could play either Imad Wasim or Mohammad Nawaz at 7, or they could even play Mohammad Nawaz at 6. But as I said, you wouldn't have that batting all-rounder to kind of clear the boundaries when needed. And so if they play Fahim Ashraf at 6, for now Mohammad Nawaz at 7, then they could play Wasim Jr. at 8, Naseem Shah 9, Haris Shroff 10, or Shaheen 10, Haris Shroff 11. Now, you've got all the bowlers that you want to fit in, and you've got that kind of needed impetus with the bat as well. And you could upgrade gradually from 150 side to 180 side. Now, if you got 180 more often than not, or at least 160 odd for these bowlers to defend, Pakistan can fancy their chances even more than what they can do. So I think that is a step which will be a brave step, but I do think that it's a step which will improve their T20 side quite a bit. And yeah, that's on this tournament. I think India play a series against New Zealand starting on the 18th, the first T20I in Wellington. And I'll be posting another video in terms of the 11 that I would like India to go for in the future. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, please share it with a friend. Remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?